You know, for over a decade, there's been one question that has just dominated the world of sports. It's divided fans, friends, even families. Today, we're going to go beyond all that hype and dive right into the hard data behind one of the most legendary rivalries in history.
Messi or Ronaldo? I mean, that question right there, it defined an entire generation of football. For years, the story we were told was pretty simple. They were these perfectly matched titans, two absolute legends locked in this epic battle for supremacy.
And what a story it was. You had the shy, natural genius against the hard-working, sculpted superstar. It was the perfect narrative, right? And we saw it everywhere, on highlight reels, in commercials, and on those endless debate shows.
But what if that perfectly balanced story, what if it wasn't the whole truth? What if, once you strip away all the marketing and the media hype, the numbers tell a completely different, and honestly, a far more one-sided story? Let's take a look.
So this story actually starts not on the pitch, but in the boardrooms of the world's biggest sports brands. Because this rivalry, it wasn't just some natural competition, it was a carefully crafted, and you better believe, an incredibly profitable product.
I mean, this quote from an Adidas executive, it just lays it all bare. They basically admit one star isn't enough to sell the whole story. They needed a perfect rival for Messi. And Nike's superstar Ronaldo was the absolute ideal candidate for the role.
And did it work? Oh yeah, absolutely. The media figured out super quickly that pitting them against each other was a gold mine. Take ESPN, for instance. They saw a staggering 37% jump in viewers for these debates compared to their regular football coverage. It was just too profitable to ignore.
So how'd they keep the story going? Well, by cherry-picking the data. A former Nike ad director came right out and said it. They focused on simple, flashy numbers like goals, but kind of ignored areas where the comparison wasn't so flattering. It was all about building this image of perfect equality, even when the data underneath said something else.
So let's do what those marketing teams didn't. Let's move past the hype and look at the raw data of what these two legends actually produced on the pitch.
Okay, let's start with dribbling. You know, the art of taking on a defender. And wow, the numbers here they're just stark. Messi completed over 3,100 dribbles in his career. That's nearly double Ronaldo's total. This isn't just a small gap. This points to two fundamentally different kinds of players.
And you know, this chart really gets to the heart of it. Messi was a player who created danger all by himself, breaking down entire defensive lines with the ball at his feet. Ronaldo, especially later in his career, he evolved. He became a player who waited for the danger to be created for him, an absolutely phenomenal finisher inside the box. So you've got one guy who creates and another who converts.
And that creator role, it gets even more obvious when we look at passing. A key pass is a pass that leads directly to a shot. And as you can see, Messi made almost twice as many as Ronaldo. He wasn't just out there scoring goals, he was basically conducting his team's entire attack.
And this might be the most eye-popping stat of all. Big chances created. We're talking about the golden opportunities, those clear-cut, you-gotta-score chances. Messi created 420 of them for his teammates. Ronaldo, 175. This is where you see Messi operating on a whole other level, doing the job of an elite playmaker on top of being an elite goal scorer.
Okay, but what about when they were on the same pitch? In the heat of those legendary El Clasico and Champions League battles, who actually came out on top? Let's check out the head-to-head record.
At first glance, the goals look incredibly close, right? 22 for Messi, 21 for Ronaldo. This is that perfectly balanced rivalry the media sold us. But then you look at the next line. Assists. Messi with 12, Ronaldo with just 1. That single stat right there, it paints a much, much bigger picture about who had the greater overall impact in these huge games.
And when you add it all up, that's a 55% advantage for Messi in total goal involvements. In the biggest games, with the whole world watching, Messi was directly involved in over half as many goals again as his rival. Just let that sink in.
Okay, I know what you're thinking, but what about the Champions League? This is supposed to be Ronaldo's competition. He's Mr. Champions League, the all-time leading scorer. But here again, the raw numbers, they reveal a more nuanced story.
So, while Ronaldo has more total goals, he also played in over 20 more games. When you look at efficiency, like how often they actually scored, Messi was actually more prolific, finding the net every 105 minutes compared to Ronaldo's 114.
And when you broaden that lens to include assists, well, Messi's advantage in overall impact gets even clearer. He contributed a goal or an assist every 80 minutes in Europe's biggest competition. That means he was consistently influencing the game more frequently than Ronaldo was.
Now, let's be super clear. This is not to take anything away from Ronaldo. His Champions League record is absolutely legendary, and you can see why right here. He is the king of volume. More total goals, more knockout goals, more top score awards. His legacy as an all-time great in this competition is completely undeniable. The data simply suggests that Messi's impact on a minute-for-minute basis was just a bit more efficient.
But at the end of the day, football is a team sport. And the ultimate measure of a player's impact is often judged by one simple thing: winning. So let's look at the final and maybe the most decisive metric of all.
44. That's the number. That's how many major trophies Lionel Messi has won in his career. It's the most by any footballer in the history of the game. That number, well, it really speaks for itself.
And when you put it side by side with Ronaldo's own incredible collection of 35 trophies, you still see a really significant gap of 9. I mean, 9 major trophies, that's not a small margin. That's an entire Hall of Fame career for most other world-class players. The data just suggests that over the long run, having Messi on your team simply led to more winning. So when we step back and look at the whole picture, what does this all mean? The numbers pretty consistently point to one player being more creative, more efficient, and ultimately a bigger contributor to his team's success.
But maybe the real lesson of this whole rivalry goes way beyond football. It's a lesson in questioning the narratives that were sold. The Messi-Ronaldo era showed us how a really compelling story, when it's amplified by media and marketing, can shape our entire perception of reality. So it kind of leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're presented with a perfectly balanced, epic rivalry, it's probably worth asking yourself, is it real or is it just a great story designed to keep me watching?